Well, Apple built a global following by selling groundbreaking devices such as the iPod and iPhone, which were not only coveted for their technological innovation, but also their cutting-edge design. A big part of that came from the mind of Jony Ive, who for decades has served as the firm's chief design officer. Now, the British-born executive is on his way out as the company shifts away from shiny gadgets. Paolo Montesilio reports.
Tech giant Apple is losing one of its biggest assets. Jony Ive, the firm's design chief, is leaving after almost 30 years to start his own company.
After so many years working closely together, I'm happy that our relationship continues to evolve, and I look forward to working with Jony long into the future.
Ive joined Apple in the early 1990s and served as one of co-founder Steve Jobs' top lieutenants. He worked on the iMac that helped save Apple from bankruptcy in 1998. Then came the iPod in 2001, the iPhone in 2007, and the iPad in 2010. All were products of Ive's design studio and helped power Apple's rise as one of the world's most valuable companies.
And so over the years, we've really created a team and an environment that I think really increases the probability of good ideas, and when they actually arrive, I think nurtures them.
Apple says it'll remain one of the main customers of Ive's new firm, but his departure is the latest sign of Apple's heightened focus on services to drive growth. The company is investing more in music streaming and plans ventures into gaming as well as television and movies. Apple also recently bought the self-driving car company Drive AI.
Smartphone is probably the platform of the past now. It's probably past its peak, and that automotive is going to be a major platform for the delivery of digital products. So if you're a Google or an Apple or an Amazon or a Microsoft, you either get in the car or you get left behind.
The iPhone accounts for half of Apple's business, but sales fell 17% in the first quarter. That's as revenue from music, payments, and iCloud subscriptions rose 16%. At Apple, it's out with the old staff, in with the new services. Paolo Montesilio, TRT World.
For more, let's speak to Santosh Rao, head of research at the Merchant Bank Manhattan Venture Partners. He joins us now from New York. Welcome back to Money Talks, Santosh. Now, Apple shares have taken a bit of a dip on the news that Jony Ive is leaving Apple. Tell us, how critical was he to Apple's success?
Hi, thanks for having me. I think this news was really a sentimental news more than really an operational news because Jony Ive has been pretty much on his way out. After 2015, when he designed his last hardware, which was the watch, he's been pretty much out of the picture. He designed the headquarters and all the other stuff. So he's moved away from designing. He has a deep bench in the office, two executives who are very much in place. So they will continue the legacy of Apple's design genius, you can call it. So I think in terms of operations, nothing's going to change. And I think Jony Ive saw the writing on the wall. I mean, as it is, he was coming to the office only twice a week. So he was kind of tapering off. And I think the company has moved on from just the designing hardware part to more services and content where his services may not be needed. And if there is anything needed, he's still available as a contractor. So he's not going too far, but there is no place for him in the office on a full-time basis because the Apple has moved on.
Now, as we know, millions of people around the world have really coveted Apple products, not only for their technological advancements, but also their cutting-edge design. So do you believe design is still an important factor behind people's desire to buy Apple products?
Absolutely, it is. To the extent that there are some new products coming out. So we don't know yet what exactly is the next wave of product innovation coming from them. We saw the wearables and listenables that they call it now, also. So I think all those things are still there. So the EarPods was his last big one. So we don't know what the next hardware thing is, but I think he's left enough legacy and enough behind so Apple can continue with the design template that he came up with. So we'll see where that goes. But at this point, I think it's more about services and content, and Apple is very much in place. I mean, nothing's shaken on that front.
Interesting. Now, when Apple launched the iPhone in the early 2000s, it's easy to forget just how revolutionary that design was. Since then, there have been dozens of imitators that have spawned from that product. Can Apple still maintain that edge over its rivals, not only in technology, but also in design?
Well, they're known to reinvent. They have a tremendous R&D budget. They have a whole group of engineers who spend a lot of time trying to find the next big thing. So I'm sure they will continue to design and come up with new stuff. It's going to be more on the autonomous side, more on the virtual reality, I guess, on AI-related applications. So we'll see. I mean, the Siri-like the inventions are. I mean, Apple's behind in that area, so they can work on that side, come up with better voice-activated devices. But overall, I think it's still on the lighter side. We don't see anything on the horizon at this point. But if there is anything, I think we can count on Apple to make it much better than what's out there. So that's been their genius. In terms of iPhone, matching iPhone success, it's getting increasingly difficult because the competitors have caught on. So there is competition now. So there's no breakthrough as such. So it's going to be very difficult. So services and content is the next big thing, and that's where they're focused.
Okay, we'll see how all that unfolds. Santosh Rao in New York, thank you as always.